if you love cars like we do, and you look at cars all the time like we do, there's something very satisfying about sharing that with other people. And Flipping Bangers, the TV series, has been so popular. There's been a lot of people asking us for more stuff.
More stuff is coming, but we are waiting to see what the news is going to be on season 4. So we thought we'd do a podcast in the meantime so that people can see what we're actually up to.
Everyone likes a podcast, don't they?
Well, yeah, I think so.
Well, certainly people say they do.
Well, it's a good thing because we get to see more cars and we get to go and look at other people's cars. It doesn't really matter if they're for sale. Sometimes it's enough just to look over it and say, you know, this might be a car that we'd like to do in the future.
Yeah, I get it. So we'll go through the process. We look at the car, what it stands for, what we know about those cars, how it presents.
And conclude with giving it the thumbs up or the thumbs down. Would we buy this car to flip?
I got it. And that sounds like something that I'd listen to.
Yeah, me too.
All right. Well, I know that this is your turn, isn't it? It's your turn to find us a car. And we seem to be, not at your place, we seem to be walking across a farmyard, don't we?
Yes, Gus, that's exactly what we're doing. I thought for this podcast, we might as well get involved in something interesting with an absolute groundbreaker of its day and something that we know a little bit about. Something which has a little bit of our own personal history in.
Okay, I'm just going to paint a little visual picture here. There's an awful lot of... This is pigeon poo, is it?
Yes, we've just entered a big concrete farm with a sort of semi-asbestos roof and there's rubbish and jumble all over the place.
And your aluminium canoe?
Yeah, that's one of mine.
And your Mini?
Yes. So my friend is kind enough to lend me a bit of storage space. Gus, we are here.
Oh, this is it.
Yes, you might not have
Okay.
guessed.
Well, I'm just going through my mind. I'm going through your cars and what this might be. And bizarrely, so I'm just gonna again paint the picture. It's got a silver cover on it. But I mean, that is really weird. So there's a circle on what I'm assuming is the rear 3/4 of this car on the driver's side. So, and it gives it away. It gives it away. It's your Audi TT, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
It's exactly what it is.
That's really weird, isn't it?
It's the one that I bought from us. Well, strictly speaking, I didn't buy it from us because I had to step aside from the deal.
Yeah.
Because my darling wife, Nikki, desperately wanted the car.
Yes. Yeah. She did. Hadn't she had her car written off? Did she had a MX-5, didn't she?
Recently lost, no, it was a Z3. She
Z3,
recently
that's
lost
right.
a Z3.
Yes. And everyone was confident that you're not supposed to buy the car from the television show at all.
I was prepared to step back from that deal. If somebody had come along with more money, I would have stepped back quite happily.
Yeah, definitely.
But Nikki really, really wanted the car. And I let her do the deal with you.
Yeah.
She was happy to pay the price.
Yeah. So we've come to look at your TT, which we've actually looked at in the television show. But so what have you done with it? Done with it since?
Well,
don't tell me you have literally just left it in this pigeon crap filled barn, have you?
Pretty much, yeah. So for the first year, it was used on a daily basis. Nikki was driving it and her father was driving it as well. And everybody was chuffed to bits with this great little car.
Yeah.
But then we got a bit busy and there wasn't so much time to own that extra car, which was being kept as a play toy.
Yeah, exactly.
But the thing was with buying it in the first place, from my point of view, remember in the show where we said that it's a design classic and this is something which could and should and probably will elevate in price over the years.
Yeah, it was at that stage where somebody was going to buy it and sit on it, I thought. It ticked all the right boxes, didn't it?
So thankfully I've not been sat on this one because alongside the pigeon poo that's all over this place and the thick coating of dust that's all over the silver cover, we don't want to dent where I've been sat on the bonnet for however many years.
Come on then, get the cover off. Let's have a look at it. So what I was going to say was that, and I'm just remembering now, because when these came out, they were sort of groundbreaking, weren't they? And I remember that this had the interior, the baseball glove stitched interior that was designed by this Romulus Roost, his name was. I only know that because I went on the launch of this car, and I probably said this when we did it on the TV.
You did?
Yes, I went on.
I remember that.
And it was, they made a big thing about this interior. So this car's got it all, hasn't it? It's first generation, and it's not had the modification of the spoiler on the back, has it?
So that makes this car incredibly rare and interesting, and I'm hoping desirable. I mean, I still feel it's a desirable car to keep it for myself and for Nikki as well. We really like this car. But to a potential new owner, to find an example of this car, which is in the condition that this is in.
Yeah.
I know the mileage is quite high.
I can't remember what it was.
I think it was, it's like way up above 150.
Is it?
Yeah, it was quite a high mileage car.
Really?
Yeah.
You wouldn't have known that by driving it, though.
The condition of the car.
Yeah.
Is very, very good. Mechanically, it was very good.
Yeah, very good.
And I went under it about a year ago to have a look. So I know that downstairs, okay, yes, it's aged, but no, it's not worn out. And it's in dry storage.
Yeah.
Which looks horrendous.
No, but it's got let me just describe the barn. It's a barn with concrete supports and an asbestos-ish roof, I would say, but it's got a good 3 foot of air all the way around at the top, hasn't it? It's breeze block, but it's good to have the air running through it, isn't it?
Yes,
because it
perfect
keeps
conditions
it dry,
for storing a car.
Yeah,
this is a breathable cover, so it's a Gore-Tex cover.
Wow,
it cost an absolute fortune when we bought it, but then when you're putting a car into storage, if you don't spend money on the protection of the car, then you are literally throwing money away.
Yeah, because I remember first seeing these and thinking how groundbreaking they were, and then as they got older and they were still used as everyday cars, they went through a little bit, and don't be offended by this, but anybody out there, but they went through a bit of a clown car phase.
Well, they did.
But I know, but let me finish. Yeah. It's come out the other side. It just looks great again now.
Well, initially, this went out as a concept car. Audi came up with the concept. They thought, oh, this is cool. So they built a concept car. They took the concept car to a few shows. The general public went crazy over it. And within 3 years of that, the car was in production. And they managed to produce a car that not only looked a lot like the concept car,
a lot like
it was then considered to be glamorous and stylish and cool as well. So you've got the full gambit there. And I'm looking at it now. Look, it's a W Reg car.
So that's got to be, I think maybe R Reg 98 were the first ones, were they? Were they?
So this would be,
to remember.
I think from memory, this is like just before 2000.
Yeah, it is. It's really early in the runs, isn't it?
A car which is potentially 25 years old.
It's a dark grey. It's a beautiful colour grey in actual fact. And it's got the beautiful dark tan baseball stitched leather interior. It's a 1.8, but it's a 225 horsepower, this one, isn't it? 4-wheel drive, if I remember right. Yeah.
It's the full thing. It's the real deal. If you were looking for a car to collect or the rarest one and the most desirable model, this is it.
Yeah, this is exactly it. And these are fetching really good money now, aren't they? I would say 10, 8 to something
10
like that.
Is kind of what I'm reckoning.
Yeah.
Now, this one, I don't think would be capable of achieving that price because of the mileage, but the condition of the bodywork and the interior is very, very good.
Yeah.
But we don't know. It's been in storage, so we're going to have a look around and see.
Yeah. When we went to the launch of this, the magazine that I worked for at the time thought it would be a really good idea to buy one of the old 5-pot Audi coupes.
Yes.
To take down there, the Quattros rather, to take down there. And so we bought one in Wigan and we drove it all the way down to Italy. This was launched in Italy. And we did a sort of back-to-back test. This, that was 4-wheel drive sports car. This is
the original Quattro.
Yeah, the original Quattro.
This.
Yeah, not the coupe, the Quattro, the original Quattros.
Yeah.
And it was such an epic journey. And then you come across this, when you first see this for the first time and you look at the interior was proper space age, wasn't it? I mean, it still is. It looks great in actual fact. Still does, doesn't it? But I think that the initial this was an exciting car, and it was up against in the same sort of era, Boxster and SLK, wasn't it? Porsche Boxster and Mercedes SLK, and somehow they managed to pull it off because this was, I think, the coolest of the three, without doubt.
Yes, that's interesting because I think it was the coolest, and it was the one that was the most original too.
Yeah.
Because those other two cars, they kind of already have been around a little bit, and the Porsche's, is always following a sort of similar line, in my opinion. This was a completely new thing, which came from a concept which went into production in 3 years or less.
But it's interesting, isn't it? The way that happened, how Volkswagen Group, as it was, turned this car around, because this is I think this is an early example of that platform engineering, isn't it? Where they have a platform, and this is basically, I think this is a Golf underneath.
Yes, it's
Series 4 Golf,
glorified Golf.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is.
And that's clever, isn't it? That's the way that they did it quickly.
Yeah.
They applied that concept to it.
Which is why it was kind of like, monetary wise, I can imagine that made it the poorer little brother to the other cars, to the Porsches and the Mercedes, because essentially you're buying a posh Golf. And that can't compare with the Porsche, can it?
But they kept that a good secret, didn't they? Because actually, I didn't know that at the time, I don't think.
It took me years to find it out.
Yeah.
But then the people in the know would have been in the know. But what Audi had is they had the style, and they had a breakthrough new design.
Yeah.
And I think here it is. It's been a while since I've seen this car uncovered properly. And as I pulled off the covers a minute ago and stood back, I looked at this car, and I don't think I've got my rose-tinted specs on.
I agree with you completely.
It looks fantastic.
It does.
And even if it is a shade dusty.
It is a bit dusty. But when you were taking the cover off, I was just looking at the roof, and the roof has survived brilliantly, hasn't it? You would not know that roof had done, the amount of miles that this car has done. It's in very good fettle, isn't it? Still,
it is. Yeah.
Didn't you put this back window in? Do I remember that rightly?
I think you cut the old one out, and I put the new one in.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, not the new one. Just we
rebonded it in.
Rebonded that one.
Yeah.
So, which is actually
still
in there.
Like I said, don't test it.
Yeah. Don't you push on that glass.
It does. It still looks great, I have to say. Well, shall we look inside it?
Let's give it the walk around after we've had a cup of tea.
Shall we have a cup of tea?
And an ad break.
Oh, hang on. This is the ideal opportunity for somebody to pay for us to have a cup of tea, isn't it?
It would be, yes.
Yes, that's what we need.
Please support our Flippin' Bangers podcast by advertising yourselves on our radio show.
Right, come on. Then we'll get into it. Right, so we're back. We're back with our Audi TT, first generation Audi TT, 1.8 turbocharged, 225 horsepower, yeah?
Yeah, in a lovely, lovely, lovely grey colour. It's such a pretty colour.
Why is that so pleasing? Why is that grey so pleasing?
It's amazing, isn't it? Because you think, oh yeah, grey. But the paint's got a slight sparkle to it. It's kind of like a dark mouse grey. And it's just... I think in the day, nobody really sort of was, people have painted lots of cars grey previous to it, but, but it was just the first time it had been used for years.
Yeah, it was the first time it had been seen for a long time.
That's what I'm that's my guesstimation.
Yeah.
That's not fact, that's my thought.
That's a Trickett fact.
That's a Trickett fact.
I like it. Well, shall we go around it and see? Well, what are we trying to ascertain? We're not trying to ascertain whether we need to buy this car to flip it, because we've already sort of bought it and sold it, haven't we? But are we saying that your theory of keeping this, we're trying to test your theory of keeping this car for that extra many years to see whether that theory is sound, where we are with this car?
That's exactly what I'm thinking, because this has been in storage for some years now.
Yes.
I'm intending it to remain in storage for some years more.
You might have to dig it out, judging by the amount of...
These pigeons keep on producing in the way they are. You're going to need a digger dozer to get this out.
Yeah.
But they're not actually defecating on the car.
No,
the car
they're not.
in itself is sat in a clean area between the beams of the barn. So it's not getting dropped on by the pigeons.
Yeah.
So it's actually... The storage is not too bad. It just seems ghastly.
So we want to see what really needs to be spent on this car to bring it back up to where it's going to fetch I don't know, maximum, which is going to be what for it at the moment?
If
6,
we
7?
were to say 6, 7, 8,
Yeah.
because I mean, a really good one goes for 8 to 10.
Yeah.
So is this car, by the time I pull it back out, going to be viable? And by that point, it's going to need, new tyres. The brakes are going to need a good look at. It's going to need a full service.
Yeah.
The interior. I know there's something that has gone wrong with the car since we bought it.
What's that?
You know, the hazard light, the hazard warning light?
Yes.
Well, the centre of the button popped out like a miniature ejector seat.
Wow.
Along with all of his springs and the bulb. So he covered the inside of the car in broken bits of plastic.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well,
so
you'd need to find one of those. I suspect you'd be able to find one of those.
Yeah. But looking at the outside of it, we're now at the front driver's side front corner.
Very smart.
The wheels are still pretty clean. Remember, I had to quite aggressively sort of repair one with sandpaper and a bit of filler where it was quite heavily scuffed on the centre of the
I do remember
wheel.
that, but that's how they're done, aren't they? That's how these wheels are sorted out.
Yes. So, I mean, it's not achieved any more knocks and dings since we bought the car. And looking at the paintwork here, there's a bit of sort of crazy.
There is a little
here.
bit, isn't it? So this is part of the plastic. Yes, plastic, that bit, isn't it?
Or aluminium. I think that's.
Is any of it aluminium?
Aluminium, yeah, that's aluminium.
Was it really?
Too, yeah.
This is Will tapping the car gently and forgetting he's got a ring on his finger.
Yeah.
It's his own car.
It's a titanium ring. So.
Yeah, that's interesting. Something's going on there, isn't it?
Yeah.
I suppose the other thing, which is a bit of an elephant in this very, very large, airy room, is the fact that there could have been rodent damage, couldn't there, since it's been sat here?
Do you know what? That's the thing that scares me the most.
Yeah.
The bonnet's popped.
Shall we have a look?
Yes.
Okay, go on then.
The gas, right? Okay.
Well, we're not going to know necessarily from looking under there, are we? But
but rodents and rabbits and squirrels.
Can I just
Squirrels
say,
are the worst ones.
my Mini has got a collection of hazelnuts in it, in the corner.
I don't think that collection of hazelnuts belongs to the Mini.
Belongs to me.
Collection of hazelnuts.
I know, but what I'm saying is they're coexisting.
Yes.
Yeah,
They
which
probably
is-
belong to a squirrel. And
Oh, what's
that
that?
piece of wood in there?
I don't know. Is that something you've put in there?
Well, I can't remember.
There's a piece of fence panelling that someone's put across the engine for some strange and bizarre reason. But there'll be a reason for it. I'm sure you've just forgotten. But in actual fact, let me put my glasses on. It's very smart in here, isn't it? Under here.
Absolutely smart.
And I remember this big turbo intake that sort of snakes around. We're looking into the engine. The blazoned 5V turbo and the Audi symbols on the plastic cover. And this was quite an early plastic cover, wasn't it, for a car? This was quite early on. Then it's got the turbo intake, which is a steel tube that goes round the side of it. Big, purposeful, powerful. It all says high-tech power, doesn't it?
It does. It looks like a miniature racing car down here. You know, it's got all of the big stuff that you want to see for a young lad that likes to get excited about hot engines.
Yeah.
This has got all the tidbits.
Yeah, it's good.
And you can see down here where the pipes all travel through the front. So it's got to be an intercooler on these cars. Was there an intercooler? I presume there was. It looks like there is, in the way the pipes loop. There must be an intercooler.
Well, I don't know if there was in actual fact on this. I don't know. I'm going to put my hands up and say I don't know.
I don't know either, and I'm not going to say there is or there isn't.
But you've brought it up now.
Well, okay. Well, I'm going to say there is then.
Okay.
I'm going to plump for that.
But I remember quite clearly under the intake here on the near side of the engine.
Is that where the gear linkages were?
Yeah, gear linkage, gear levers. And I remember spending a lot of time taking the underneath this car apart.
It's definitely
in layers. It's like an onion.
Yeah.
But it was weird.
And it made you cry like an onion as well.
It did, in fact. But I thought it was really interesting. And it was the first car that we'd done. I mean, it was quite a modern car for us at the time, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But it really showed how the factories put the cars together, didn't it? Because you had to take the layers away. And I know if you're a mechanic, I know this sounds obvious, but taking the layers away to get to the gear linkage. So take the exhaust pipe off, take the drive shaft off, the central drive shaft.
There was all the tin plates, the heat shields.
All the tin plates and heat shields, yeah.
Well.
But it was, I came to the conclusion anyway, I mean, in my naivety, that it was quite brilliantly done. and you could see where that whole sort of platform thing came from.
Yeah,
sharing
and also
parts.
I find when you're doing that sort of a job, once you've got it in your head, you need to go through the layers of the onion, and you carefully go through, and you're documenting it all in your mind as you go,
and on your camera a lot of the time.
Remembering, yes, always wise thing to do. But you're laying it all out neatly on the floor if you have the space. Ready. So when you put it back together, you just follow your paper trail back through.
Yes,
and you get everything back on in the correct order.
Yeah,
because if you jumble it all up,
well,
just imagine.
That is a feather from a pigeon. We're just looking at the Will's trying to blow off a pigeon feather off of the interior car. I don't really know how it got in there.
Stuck to the inner wing, it looks like some sort of alien growth.
It does, but it's got. Or is it a spider?
I thought it was a spider's egg.
I think it's a spider's egg.
I'm thinking the feather. I'm not going to touch it just in case it jumps and attaches to my face.
Should we get back to the car?
I'd rather do that than worry about alien spider feather eggs.
So what we're saying is that actually, from what you can see, and you can't see a lot because there's a lot of shrouding on it, it looks great under here still, doesn't it?
It does. I was really worried that squirrels or rats or rodents of some description had moved in.
There's not a nut in sight, is there?
Consider that the engine end of the TT.
Yes.
Let's consider that complete.
Yes.
And possibly just being in storage, so in need of full servicing, tinkering back into life. It's nice to see there's not loads of oxidization on any of the aluminium parts.
Yes.
It's still pretty clean.
And the bit that there is there will come off. There's no shadow of a doubt.
Obviously, the big hole here is where the battery would live.
Yes.
So we need one of those, or it will need one of those.
Yeah.
Shall I close this and we can move around?
I'm just saying it's refreshing to see the blue paint still on these nuts here, where, just to show that they haven't been off or...
On the wiper arm nuts.
Yeah, on the wiper arm. It just... I don't know
Never
why.
Been removed.
No,
That's
exactly.
good.
But it just looks clean and tidy. And all the little... the little clips and things like that, the little plastic clips that break every time someone takes them off are still all in here.
Yeah.
Most
small details.
Yeah, small details.
When you've got so many small details still there, as they should be, it adds up to the bigger picture.
I think what I'm trying to illustrate is the fact that if you opened this bonnet and you were looking to buy a car, then you would see nothing under here that would deter you from buying this car, would you?
No, not at all.
No. Should we close it?
Yes.
Mind your fingers.
Okay. So that's passed its test.
The
headlights, well, they still look really nice. This one's got, it's sort of, in storage sort of type look. I think the lenses, like most plastic lenses, could probably benefit from a polish.
I think they will. I think it's got a bit of it going on there, hasn't it? What is that called? That sort of opaquing of the...
I don't know.
Misting. It's just degrading of the plastic, isn't it, really?
Yeah, I think there's surface layers that they put on these to treat them at the end, and they break down.
Yes.
So I think in the polishing, what it does is actually remove those, and then you end up with a bare piece of plastic, which no longer has its magic films of coatings on it that protect it. So I would hope that nowadays there'd be some sort of something you could reapply to that to give it the proper protection.
Yeah. You've run into something there.
No, that's not. That's new. That's not new.
Was that on there?
Yeah, when you sold this car to my wife.
Desperately trying to convince me that he hasn't done.
It wasn't me.
It was a long time ago. I don't remember really.
No, that's an original dent. So it looks like a golf ball's been fired out of a blunderbuss.
Yeah.
And it's hit the front bumper just to the right of the number plate.
Yeah. I was thinking it looks exactly like somebody had a towing eye in and the car ran into the towing eye.
Yeah.
Which might have been possible because it wasn't run. Oh, it was running when we picked it up, wasn't it? But it was overheating terribly.
Somebody might have reversed.
Actually, it wasn't overheating, was it? It was the gauge that was broken, wasn't it? Yeah.
Right.
The fluid in the gauge becomes non-viscous. How does that happen? It loses its viscosity, doesn't it? So the gauge reads wrong. That was
what it was?
That was the nub of it. Yeah.
Hold on. Is this on the LCD?
No, it's
display?
on the dash. Yeah.
In the binnacle.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You went to that chap to get it all rebuilt.
Yeah,
didn't
I think in Portsmouth or somewhere. Yeah, lovely man.
So coming down the passenger side of the car.
Yeah.
We've got a flat front tyre.
We have, obviously, and we've got a bit of a scuff on the on the front of the wheel arch, haven't we? Just there,
Okay,
a little bit of misalignment going on.
Scuff and a bit of a dent in two places.
I mean, if it had a polish, it would look amazing still, wouldn't it? I mean, it does look amazing. Don't get me wrong.
Original paint says a lot, doesn't it?
Yes. Yeah. You want to have a look inside the boot?
I do, because I'm still concerned about this rodent.
Yeah. Well,
Did you see that the aren't any?
do you remember how to open the boot?
No, I can't remember. I was just about to say.
It's got a sort of Porsche type lever, hasn't it? Somewhere that you.
Somewhere, yes, but where? Or is it a button? Hold on.
But if it's a button, it won't work.
No,
There's
it
battery
won't.
on it.
I hope it's not. I think that's for the front boot, isn't it? Oh, is it behind the seats?
I can't remember, Will.
Can you remember?
No, I can't.
I can't remember either.
I remember we used to have this when I used to work for the car magazines. You'd get a new car and you'd think, how do you open the filler
do
cap?
this?
Where's
Where is it?
where's
Well, that's the thing as well. I mean, I tried opening that a minute ago, so that's got to be operating. Can you actually see what it says on these buttons?
Like, here, let's take these. This is
Yeah, brilliant.
This is
Gus
me.
has just lent me his glasses. Those are all buttons.
Well, the buttons won't work. It needs to be a lever.
No, I know. Oh, hold on. Oops.
You broken it?
Yeah, no, there's a button at the front that does the base. I found it.
Oh,
But
okay.
it's a button.
So
that's the end of that game.
Well, my glasses back. I can't see. It would have it'll have an emergency one somewhere, but we're not going to find it. Can I just say though? I mean, this has totally spoilt the reveal, hasn't it? But my goodness, this interior still looks absolutely fantastic, doesn't it?
Jump in, Gus. Jump in.
It's been a long time since I've been in one of the. Even the trim on the door cards is proper thick leather, isn't it?
Yes.
Or they've done a good job. It
This
appears
is
to be
smooth and shiny. Yeah, this is a beautifully put together car.
It's like hide, isn't it? It's like they've done it. I mean, clearly they haven't.
Check out the stitching on the seat.
Yeah, so the seats has got what they call baseball glove stitching, and I'm sure just from that description you can understand what it is. It's big. It's stitched together with hide, basically,
thong.
isn't it? Thong, yeah.
Yeah. So when we first went to look at this car, we were looking at these seats and going, they're a sort of an acquired taste, aren't they?
Yeah, well, they were.
Because they were brown. And it didn't really appeal to me. And the big clumpy stitching just looked a little bit out of place.
But I did know that this was a special edition. And again, like we were saying about this car ticking all the boxes, if you wanted to buy one, you would look for one with this stitching, whether you like it or not, because it's the one that's worth more money.
It's the one that people want. It's the rarest one. Indeed. I'm just opening up the glove box here, reaching inside.
I'm looking in this.
Pulled out the original owner's manuals.
It's all in there.
Still in their binder.
Nice.
With the card of the salesperson who would have originally sold the car back in, 1999, 89 or so. So that's still in there.
Well, given your ability to lose things, don't take it out.
I'm not going to take it out and leave it out, but there's still various other bits of paper which I'm not going to bore us with. I found one bit of that needs a bit of cleaning up. The the felted interior of the glove box is just starting to look like it could do.
Is it coming away? Is it degrading?
It doesn't feel like it's coming away. Actually, it just feels like it's just got a bit of
pigeon crap.
It looks like mildew, but it's not mildew. It's dry. Everything's dry in here. It just looks like it could do with a wash.
I think that what we should try and paint an overall picture of the interior of this car, because if people don't remember how sort of futuristic this looked with its sort of aluminium semicircular but very, very sort of full shaped binnacle,
an aluminium surround drilled and held on with Allen bolts. Very
and then that's mimicked in the centerpieces of the the dials, the rev counter, big speedometer. Those are all mimicked. That whole thing goes through the door pull. Everything has got that in it, hasn't it? It was their thing, and it was, like you say, it's purposeful, it's racy, it's maybe aero engineering.
It looks slightly aero, but it feels racy.
The pedals have got they've got aluminium tops to them, but they've got inlaid rubber sort of bars on there just as grip. But they look like aftermarket pedals, don't they? They've looked at that, what people put on their cars, don't they?
And it's the sort of thing you go and buy from your car parts suppliers nowadays to make your pedals look slightly more racy.
Exactly.
These were put on as standard.
Yeah.
There's a great big aluminium sort of panel in the centre. If I just press gently on the bottom, it says TT on it. Obviously Audi TT, which is Tourist Trophy, I believe it stood for.
Well, it used to be in the motorcycle racing and car racing days of the sort of 50s, didn't it?
Something to do with the Isle of Man, wasn't it?
Well, there is a TT in the Isle of Man, but Tourist Trophy was a thing.
So the aluminium cover that I've just pressed the bottom of, with TT written on it, opens up to reveal the radio, which is not in there.
It's not in there, but it's a nice action, isn't it? I mean, it's a really nice action. Again, it just reeks of quality, doesn't it?
Even though the platform of this car was a Golf, the Golf is an outstanding car in its own right. So it's a perfect platform to use to build something splendid. And this may not be a supercar, but it certainly is a splendid car.
Yeah.
And it feels glamorous. It feels cool. It feels very, very, very high quality.
But it's worn so well, hasn't it?
Yeah.
There's a bit of... It's a bit grubby, but then you've been driving it.
Yes. So I select a few gears. Oh, look. Forward, first, second, third, fourth, reverse. It's moving really smoothly. It is a success.
It was a success. Yeah, amazing.
Shall we do something which I don't think we've done before? Let's go for an out of 10. We often grade things in the fair, okay, dubious sort of level.
But that's all done to get an overall picture to make a decision, isn't it? And that's just the sort of process that we go through. And bizarrely, we go through it in a similar sort of way, don't we? It's a juggling of figures, isn't it? A juggling of how much you can get a car for, how much you can get a car, how much it's going to cost you to get to that point.
We may attempt those sums. I don't know what we'll be able to come to. Considering this car's been sat for 5 to 6 years in a barn with a nice cover over it, a good quality Gore-Tex cover, let's just have a look at the exterior of the car, which we know has got a few little scratch and dings and dents in it. But in general, it all lines up and it's a good straight car.
Yeah.
How would we grade that?
Out of 10?
Out of 10.
I'd say
10 being the best.
I'd say it's a solid 7. It might even be creeping into an 8. But if we're talking about degradation of the paintwork in itself, I can't see any, really.
I don't think this car's, apart from the fact it's been in storage, which sometimes is better because it's not been out living outdoors.
Yeah.
If it had been living outside the house and been in use every day, the car would have degraded more.
It definitely would have done.
So it's not gone into stasis, but it's been looked after quite well.
Yeah.
So the interior.
Mind-blowing.
Well, and it
for a nearly 200,000 mile car, and I've had a few of those.
Yeah, it's certainly the best one I've ever owned.
It's very. I mean, I can't stress how good it is.
No, we can't say pristine.
These seats are so thick; they just take on patina, don't they? They don't take on.
They don't wear.
No, it doesn't look like they do. It's amazing.
This is a 20-year-old car.
Yeah,
that's got almost 200,000. It's between 150 and 200,000 miles on the clock.
Yeah, and it's easy to forget that every time you look at any part of this car.
It's almost pristine, but not quite.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's give it a 10. Let's give it a loose 10.
I'd give the... Oh, hang on.
Oh,
you've broken that. If you hadn't have broken... So the hazard warning light has been tricketted. He's pushed it in and it's just fallen apart.
It was better than that.
Was it?
It got pushed in. Might have been by me.
Yeah.
It got pushed in to click it to see if it worked.
You were just playing with it. I know you were. I can see the scenario.
And it did a lovely little Audi click.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, and I sat here going, it works. As the lights are going, flash, flash, flash. And it's like, oh, great. And then it did the I want to be an ejector seat. And all of the guts that were in there launched themselves out at high speed in many parts.
Oh my goodness! That's
across the whole of the inside of the car. And I'm sure
you have
there's
no idea what they were, or where they were, or where they went, or where they go.
I just know I need a whole new one.
I wonder. Should we get out? It's very good in here.
Okay. Just short and having a nice cup of tea. Once somebody has decided to sponsor our show
Oh yeah,
and advertise with us.
that's right. Yes, because we need a sponsor, don't we?
We do.
We're looking for one, aren't we?
Yes.
Actively.
Seeking advertisements.
Right, T, come on. Right, we're back. We're back with our first generation W registration Audi TT in grey, which belongs to Will. It's a 1.8T, but it's the 225 horsepower car. Cracking car.
The recap on where we are is that we've been walking around the car. We found there are no rodents living in it anywhere, which is great.
It is great, yeah.
It's been in storage for some years now, but it's showing nice signs of preservation. We're not looking at it in a way that we're going to flipping bangers the car.
No, because we've already done that.
Yes. So this is an assessment for me personally.
Yeah, to see whether it was the right philosophy.
Yes.
To put it in here and mothball it, or
however long it may be, because it may be some more years.
Yeah.
And when the point comes that I want to remove it from the barn and get it back on the road, I need to consider the costs that it's going to take to breathe life back into this car.
Yeah.
From what I can see, definitely worth it.
Oh, definitely.
I just want to get that in first.
It's interesting looking back at a car that you've known so well. I mean, it's great to see it again. It's really refreshing.
To lift this gracefully from where it resides now and to breathe life into it, it's going to cost some money.
Yeah, you're going to have. I reckon you're going to have 4 new tyres for a start.
Yes, 5 new tyres, because there's probably the spare as well.
Yeah.
Here's an interesting thing. Audi are still sending us letters saying that it's due for its replacement of all the airbags.
So that's interesting
because with age they
know it hasn't been scrapped.
Yes, exactly. So this car is going to need all of those replacing, which I can imagine is incredibly costly. And I wouldn't want to try and guess a figure on that.
It may be difficult to sell it without having that done, I have to say.
This muddies our waters.
It does a bit, yeah, because we don't know what sort of price that is, do we?
So let's put that in a box to one side for a moment and just consider everything else.
I would definitely have the localizing scratches done. That's maybe you wouldn't have to, but if you did, in this car in particular, because it's so good, if you had those localizing scratches done, it would bring it up to another level.
Full service, 100%, every serviceable components on the car.
Yeah.
So all the oils, check out the brakes, replace all the brake pads.
Yeah.
Look at all the flexibles. Go through it with a fine-tooth comb.
Yeah.
Maybe run through the fuel system and use flushing agents in that.
Yeah.
I think that would be wise after it's been sat for a long time.
Well, it's been sat with fuel in it as well.
Yes, the modern fuels are not like old-fashioned fuels, so they do gel. They sort of. I think people call it sort of varnish. They leave this sort of varnishy residue.
Yeah, smells like emulsion, doesn't it? When you sniff it.
So how do we quantify that in money? Well, let's quantify it in money a little bit like. Nikki and I paid just over £2,000 for this car. Was it 2.2 or 2.4?
Yes. I'm trying to remember. I think it was 2.4 actually. I think it was. Yeah. Now you say it does ring a bell.
And a really good one of these can fetch 8 to 10.
Yeah.
Now I think it's a bit foolhardy to try and achieve. Well, to think you're going to achieve the full price, because we've never done it so far on anything before, have we?
We haven't. And also, you've got, although this car is absolutely brilliant, you've got to take into the consideration its mileage. Mm-hmm. That is going to work against.
That's going to knock it. Yeah.
But I still think you'd be looking at 7 and a bit for this. I really do.
So, being as we already own it, and it has cost us the money, we could very easily afford to spend a couple of £1,000 on it.
That's what I was thinking, yeah.
This is a goer.
Oh, definitely it's a goer. It was a very good idea. And in actual fact, I remember when we had this car and we were talking about selling it, it sort of crossed my mind because we all talked about it a lot, didn't we? How that if you wanted to buy a TT, this was the one that you were going to want to buy in 10 years' time, because actually it's just a cool thing, isn't it?
I think there was an old punk rock song and it was called "Don't Talk About It, Just Do It." And that is what we did.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, great. Well,
me too.
Till next time. My turn next time, yeah?
Yes, it is.
I've got an idea as well.
There you go. Flipping Bangers strikes again. The Audi TT has won.
Thank you very much, everybody, for listening, and we'll see you next time. No, we'll hear you.
You'll hear us next time.
You'll hear us next time.
Cheers, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Flipping Bangers podcast features Gus Gregory and Will Trickett. It's produced by Dan Allen and is a Just Might TV production. International copyright is asserted and all views stated are personally held. If you'd like to get in touch with us, please visit flippingbangers.com. Thanks for listening.